Hey guys, it's Kristen and welcome to my channel. I recorded this video a few days ago and when I went to upload the file, it was corrupted. So let's try it again. Here's what I read in May. So for the month of May, it was Asian Readathon, which I tried to participate in. I made my TBR for it. And of the, I think it was 8 books that I mentioned in my TBR video, I read 6 of them. And I'll start with what I listed for Asian Readathon first. I read Serpents Kiss by Melissa Dela Cruz. This is the second book in the Beauchamp family story. I think it's a trilogy. It is a it has been adapted to a TV show. I really enjoyed it. It just expands on like shenanigans of the Beauchamp family. One thing that I will say is that while I really enjoyed the story, I'm not overly invested in the characters. It's what I keep like referring to in my head as like a popcorn read, like I'm enjoying it while I'm consuming it, but then once it's done, I don't really think about it. That's not to say that it's not good. It just is what it is for me. The second book that I read for Asian Readathon was the group book, which was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This is also a series adaptation on Hulu. It follows Pearl and Mia, who move into a town that, you know, their lifestyles differ from the majority of the people there. And, you know, chaos. What else? I thought it was a super good book. I really enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed the series. I enjoyed the live discussions for both the book and the series. And I think that it's really relevant subject matter for today. I would definitely recommend people to read this book. The third book that I read was actually a graphic novel. It's They Called Us Enemy, which is an adaptation of George Takei's TED Talk about his time in Japanese internment camps during World War II. It's very educational. It's very heartfelt. I cried. Also something that I would highly, highly recommend others read. My fourth book that I read for Asian Readathon was The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. Now this wasn't part of my like hard Asian Readathon TBR. It's just something that kind of just fell into my lap. And I'm still not really sure what it's about. And maybe it's because I was just passively listening to the audiobook, but it is about a young girl who has a very rare and feared type of magic, and she is just trying to come into herself as a bone witch, even though she can't get as far as everyone else. Or it's lost in me. I think I will try to reread it more focused and more actively, because I think it has the potential to be a really good story for me. But I'm also thinking that maybe if I just jump into the second book, which is Heartforged, that maybe the first book will just kind of click into place and I can be active in my consumption of book 2. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'll figure it out at some point. The one book that I did not get to for Asian Readathon that was part of my hard TBR was Severance by Ling Ma. This is a kind of zombie apocalypse kind of story. And I did start it, I just didn't finish it. And that's not because I'm not enjoying the story, it's because I have the physical copy of the book. And physical copies of books are just a little bit harder for me to read because I have to dedicate and take time to sit down and actually read. Whereas an audiobook I can listen to while I'm cleaning, while I'm working, and ebooks I like my Kindle is super portable, and I can pull my phone out and read on the Kindle app anywhere. So like if I have 2 seconds, well, not 2 seconds, but if I have a few minutes while I am waiting for dinner to simmer or whatever, I can pull my phone out and read a couple pages, paragraphs, whatever, at the stove. So I think that's the only reason that I haven't finished Severance, but I fully intend to finish it this month, or next month in June. It's June already. It is turning out to be a good story. I just need to make time for it. So, Asian Readathon aside, I read some other books in May, starting with Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is a sci-fi novel, young adult. I had a hard time investing in the story, but I found it really grabbed my attention and picked up in part 3. I am very interested in seeing how it turns out. As soon as I finished reading Skyward, I immediately, like literally immediately, purchased Starsight. So I think I might try to tackle that this coming month. I'm not sure. But it is good. It's a good read. I also read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to The Hunger Games following President Snow. There has been a lot of mixed reviews on this, but I loved this story. It's a hard 4 out of 5. I would be interested to see what happens following this story. And I hope I get that. But yeah. That's all I can say about that one. I also read We're Going to Need More Wine by Gabrielle Union. This is a collection of essays, memoir of her life. It's so good. I listened to the audiobook and it's legitimately just like sitting down with someone and listening to them talk to you as a friend, as a human, and like some of the things that she has experienced in her life just make her all that more admirable. And like, I loved her before and I love her even more now. Highly recommend. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot. Maybe not with the coming up books. I read Queenie by Candace Carty-Williams. I picked this up on a whim because it was available from my library without having a hold. I loved this story. It follows Queenie, who's an early to mid-20s professional who's just trying to figure out her shit, and it touches on, you know, mental health and mental illness and seeking professional help for it, which I know from firsthand experience is sometimes stigmatized against, and I just really appreciated it. I think that I could have learned a lot from this, reading this in my early 20s, but you know, whatever. I read it now and it still had an effect on me, and I'm so glad I read it. I also started to read 3 popular series, City of Bone, The Mortal Instruments. I've read City of Bone by Cassandra Clare, I read Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, and I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. These are popular. I feel like I don't necessarily have to tell you what they're about. I do have a thoughts video on these 3 books, so that's all I'm going to say about them. Whatever. And the last book that I mentioned in my TBR that I did not get to in May was Queen of the Unwanted. My pre-order came in late, and I just didn't prioritize reading it. It is what it is. So that is what I read and didn't read in the month of May. I don't think I'm going to be making any TBRs, like hard TBRs for myself, because May just proved to me that I need the freedom. I need the freedom. If I do participate in any readathons or read-alongs, I think it's going to be very scarce and seldom for a while, for a little bit. As far as completing Asian Readathon, I mean, I did read books by Asian authors that filled the requirements and the prompts of Asian Readathon, even though it wasn't what I had originally intended. So I guess I both failed and passed. Let me know if you've read any of these stories, if you liked them, if you hated them, if you have any suggestions. As always, I want to know. And I'll see you in the next one.